Guy takes a quick glance at the buyer assembling a gun, and immediately notices something terrifying. This stranger is assembling the gun 3 whole seconds faster than him, a trained secret agent. Even if he deliberately misaligned the scope before the test, the buyer could still hit the bullseye from dozens of meters away. In that instant, Agent Jack realized that the woman must be a professional assassin, recalling that he had just requested retirement from the organization, and that they had assigned him this final mission to sell a gun. Jack seemed to have guessed what the organization intended. However, what he never expected was that the buyer then handed the sniper rifle to him and told him to stand a short distance away and shoot at her to test the gun's silencer. So Jack had no choice but to comply and walk a short distance away. He could have ended this trouble with a single shot, but he didn't. Instead, he deliberately missed the target because he had come up with a better plan to deal with her. After witnessing the gun's effective silencing, the buyer immediately pulled out a stack of cash. Strangely, though, Jack didn't hand the gun over. Instead, he told the buyer to wait 3 days because he still needed to make some modifications to the weapon. The buyer didn't think much of it and simply agreed on a meeting place with Jack for 3 days later. Little did he know that by doing so, he had fallen into Jack's trap. Just as Jack was about to drive home, he deliberately pulled over to the side of the road and kicked the bumper until it broke. It wasn't that he had a grudge against his own car. He did it to get the car into the auto repair shop because the shop had something he needed. Once he arrived at the repair shop, he pretended to be a driver who'd brought his car in for service. Then, while the mechanic wasn't looking, he quietly took some steel pipes and gears. These items would play a crucial role later on. Back home, he took the stolen parts apart and shaped them into the form he wanted. He then took out his cutting tools and cut the steel pipes into countless small pieces. He stacked all the pieces on top of each other and finally fitted a casing over them. With that, the sniper rifle silencer was complete. Seeing that the silencer worked well, Jack set his next plan in motion. Wearing sunglasses, he went to the black market, where he bought some parts from a gun dealer. Next, he set about assembling these parts. It turned out that the reason Jack was so skilled was because he was a top-tier gunsmith. After a series of deft maneuvers, the gun looked almost exactly like the one the buyer had requested. But before handing it over, he had one crucial step left, slightly modifying the bullets. First, he used a file to smooth out the bullet tips, then drilled a small hole in it with an electric drill. Finally, he put on a pair of rubber gloves and dripped some mercury into the bullet. It turned out that this way, even if the bullet didn't hit a vital spot, the mercury inside would poison the target to death. 3 days later, Jack arrived at the agreed-upon location to hand over the gun. But what he never expected was that the buyer asked to go to the restroom to inspect the goods. This sent a chill down Jack's spine, fearing the buyer might discover something amiss. Fortunately, the buyer didn't notice anything and paid Jack the full balance for the gun.
Goodbye, Mr. Butterfly.
Holding a wad of cash in his hands, Jack thought he'd overreacted, but just as the buyer was on her way back, she received a mysterious phone call.
What happened?
There wasn't the opportunity.
Find one.
At that moment, Jack sensed something was wrong. Upon returning home, he took the cash and went into hiding with his girlfriend. Little did he know that at that very moment, the scope of a sniper rifle was already trained on him. The person holding the gun was none other than the female assassin. The assassin had thought her mission was complete, but just as she pulled the trigger, the gun in her hand suddenly misfired.